Hello? Can I speak to Orion?
Who is this?
Hey, how you doing? I feel kind of silly doing this, but this is the barista from the coffee house on MLK and Rosa Parks. You know, the one with the 4C Natural. I see you on Thursdays all the time. You come in every Thursday on your lunch break, I think. And you always order the special with the organic Thai latte. My manager be tripping and stuff, talking about we gotta use water. But I always use some hemp milk for you, because I think you're kind of sweet.
How did you get my number?
You always got on some fly blue tracksuit, and your Air Force Ones are shining all bright.
Thanks. For real though, who is this?
So, look man, I mean, I don't want to waste your time, but I don't usually do this. And I was wondering if maybe we could get together outside the coffee shop one day, because I do look a lot different outside of my work clothes.
Okay.
I mean, I got an art show coming up soon. Yeah, I'm an artist. Maybe you could come out and support? Wait, hold up. My cell phone's breaking up. Hold up. Can you hear me now? Yeah, so, what did you say? Can you come to my show?
Who all gonna be there?
Hi y'all, this is Mel. I just want to start off the episode by apologizing if the sound quality is not the best. We had a little two-city situation where Max was not able to be in Portland, so we had to work through Skype, which, you know, we're new, we're novices, so we did the best we could, but our next episode, the sound quality will be much improved. Thanks for bearing with us. Bye. Hey y'all, welcome back to Who All Gonna Be There, a podcast by artists for artists. We talk cash shit about everything. Sometimes we get selectively messy, because we gotta keep our jobs. And it all counts as art, because we say so. I am Mel, and I have about 11 jobs right now. Some of them include being a graphic novelist, a curator. I am a teacher, and I run a youth program. And now I do a little extra something that I can't really talk about on here for reasons. But I'm not like pushing that weight, if that's what you're thinking.
Okay, thank you for that cryptic update. My name's Maximiliano. I am the other half of Nat Turner Project, performance artist, video, poetry, or at least I claim those things. I am in between a lot of things right now. I am in a transitory space. I'm a Tom Hanks in that one movie where he was in an airport for a long time.
Terminal?
Yeah, I'm terminal, but not about to die.
Okay, thank you for clarifying.
Okay, and if you appreciate the things we do on this podcast, if you appreciate the curations we do, the ways we go out and like hang out with artists and support artists, you can support Nat Turner Project. We have a Patreon page where you can sign up and be a Patreon. You'll get exclusive podcast episodes, as well as like totes, buttons, pins, zines, letters. We have different like tiers. We have an Etsy store. Yes, Nat Turner Project is on Etsy. Check us out, buy our merch. You can find us on iTunes. Leave a review, hopefully a good one, but whatever. You can follow us on SoundCloud, YouTube, Stitcher, Facebook, and Instagram at Nat Turner Project, or the name of the podcast, which is Who All Gonna Be There. You send us an email us about our podcast. Say you want a shout out. I remember listening to these like European DJs, like 4-hour mixes, and you can email them, and then they'll say somebody's birthday. So if you want to email us, we'll shout out somebody's birthday on here. And that's what I'm going to say about that stuff.
All right. Did you say our email address?
Our email address. It was the one thing in blue, so I didn't see it. Is natturnerproject0@gmail.com. That is natturnerproject, one word, natturnerproject0@gmail.com. And Melanie and I both personally check the emails. So
yeah. Be sure to add the 0, because if you don't, it will go to some miscellaneous white woman. Don't ask me why.
There is a white woman behind natturnerproject@gmail.com, but that is a podcast for a different day.
So tonight, it's just us two chilling. Usually we try to bring in an artist, and we will be bringing in a special artist in a couple weeks. But for now, it occurred to us that we're like 3 episodes in, and y'all don't really know us or who we are. So we're just going to chat with each other, shoot the shit, talk about our individual artwork and practices, and talk about some current events that have gone down in popular culture that need to be discussed. A little bit about Maximiliano. Max was born in 1989. He's a performance and video artist using maroon space societies and our solar system billions of years ago as impetus of a black mythos. Epoch, sampling and rupturing audio and video spatially, forming black wave aesthetic, black reclamation rococo, unmooring, authelics, mulatidad, ideas of pre-earth blackness.
Thank you, Melanie. That was terrific. Melanie Stevens is an artist, illustrator, and writer. She is a creator of the graphic novel series Watershed and is a co-founder and editor of Mythology, an organization that supports and publishes racially and economically diverse young comic artists who identify as LGBTQIA+ or female. She is a co-curator of Nat Turner Project, a migratory gallery space that grants artists of color the freedom to create or express their own language within and without the parameters of racial commodification or designation. She received her Bachelor of Arts degree in Political Science from Yale University and her Master of Fine Arts degree for Visual Studies at Pacific Northwest College of Art, where she currently teaches and runs a bunch of other boss shit.
Thank you for the ad-libs, Max.
Yes.
So I guess we'll just launch right into cross-examination of each other's work. So
okay, I can't wait. Melanie Stevens, you in your bio you mentioned this graphic novel series Watershed. Could you, if I didn't know anything about you or Watershed, could you tell me about it?
Sure. So Watershed began it began first with me reading Octavia Butler's Kindred, which to me is one of the most brilliant fiction stories I've ever read. And Octavia Butler uses time travel as this literary vehicle to examine American history and the pathology of chattel slavery and what it does to human beings. And that inspired me to think about ways in which I could use time travel in fiction as a device to do the same thing. Meanwhile, I was thinking a lot about water and the ways that it frames Black life, the movement of people the sort of inception of the like brutality and the kidnapping, the original theft of a people to this land that we now inhabit, and the ways that water still frames our life through environmental racism, and but also as like a birth, a rebirth, this opportunity for life, but also a representation of death and those cycles over and over again. So I created this story, Watershed, which kind of weaves this allegory of a woman, a black woman, drowning in a crowded sea of white onlookers, with the fictional tale of a young art student that gets pulled into this journey between different time periods and is given the opportunity to stop certain watershed events, or ostensibly watershed events, which are juxtapositioned with the Black Lives Matter movement and this potential halting of a dystopian future. So it's a 9-part series, and I finished the first volume last year. I'm currently working on the second volume. And so far, I've managed to convince people to give me money to make this, which is hilarious. I'm pretty sure the jig will be up by volume 3 when they realize what this story is really about. But I'm just going to ride this wave, pun intended. So.
Well, they're going to know from listening to this.
Yeah.
Well, thank you for that synopsis. I feel that really informs what it's about, and so you have the first volume already published. You're working on the second one.
Yeah.
If I wanted to acquire volume 1, part 1, where would I be able to do that?
You can go to blackfempress.com, and volume 1 is now there for sale. It's $12 plus shipping. It's also available if you live in Portland, at your local libraries, and at various comic shops, including Books with Pictures. And on my Etsy page, blackfempress.com, you can also purchase a preview copy of Watershed Volume 2 in the black. So.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Nice. I did not know about the preview version.
Yep. I'm doing the comics convention circuit starting Friday, which I'll talk about later. So it's always nice to have something for people to buy, and kind of also doubles as like a preview of this thing is coming up next year. Be on the lookout. So.
Okay, yeah, that's some good marketing and capitalism, and based on what we're going to be talking about later, I almost call you a Jay-Z. So good at.
Okay. See, that's why you're lucky you're in Texas right now, because that is unfucking necessary.
But to get back to the important issue at hand, I think just potentially for viewers that are unaware, or listeners that are unaware, what is environmental racism?
Environmental racism is, look at you asking the hard-hitting questions. Environmental racism are natural disasters that basically exacerbate or make worse structural inequities that are pre-existing, so that the people who suffer the most are the people who are in the worst position to actually deal with the problems. So, and I call them unnatural disasters, because, one of the things I think about is Katrina, which is, a thing that has happened in multiple cities, right? Including the one that I'm sitting in. Also in Texas, right?
Yeah, Houston.
Yeah. So you have Katrina, you have, the when the levees broke, which happened because of just terrible infrastructure and a refusal to like spend the money to do that. And when that happens, like it wasn't Katrina that actually caused the damage, it was the flooding of those areas. And who lived in those areas? Impoverished black people. Which is why there is a complete lack of urgency to deal with these matters. And yeah, that's environmental racism. I think, to me, what is most disheartening and disturbing is that when white liberals talk about climate change, when they talk about all of the things that need to be taken care of, environmental racism is rarely brought into the conversation, and it's very telling. And it kind of turns me off, honestly.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, the people that are the most vulnerable to these things are the people that are, in some cases, yeah, the least with the least resources and materials to be able to deal with it.
Yeah.
Black and brown people all over the world are already living in areas that are being even more affected by climate change than maybe Portland. I mean, obviously this summer wasn't that hot in Portland, but maybe Portland has a hot summer or other places, you know, are having like droughts and floods already. And it's only going to get worse because, like, obviously we're not making changes to turn the boat around or anything.
Right. And as long as these fights are formatted to only benefit the middle class, upper middle class, whatever, it's not going to do the thing that people think it's going to do. Until you take care of the people who have the least resources, then, like, I don't know. It's a canary in a coal mine situation as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah, and the canary's already dead.
Well, damn. Okay. I always did feel that you kind of were more geared towards Afro-pessimism than me, but...
Yeah, I mean, it's hard. It seems like I'm trying to, like, I feel like these last few years, and getting older has realized that, like, oh yeah, like the world's gonna like crumble, but I know it'll be like when I'm like right at the old age, like it'll be like when I'm 60 and like when it's like really starts getting like crazy bad, and then I won't be able to do anything about it because I'll be 60. I won't be able to like fight off a band of like scavengers or like jump across a ravine that was just created from some crazy earthquake. You know, it's gonna be like all those disaster films we saw, but we're already gonna be in our like 60s by the time that happens.
Yeah. You think we'll be that old?
I think obviously we're already seeing it, like, you know, natural disasters, like refugee situations, like obviously the Bahamas, like people from the Bahamas even trying to come to America, like that's already happening. It'll just be magnified more and more, and it'll start like traveling further, like to more like refugees are going to start being from richer countries. You know, it's going to start being like crazier. Like there'll be like American refugees. You know.
Yeah. I mean, there already are American refugees, but
yeah,
that's a whole other conversation.
Then I guess to continue exploring Watershed, the central character, a young art student.
Yeah.
Is there any autobiographical things going on here?
I mean, maybe. There's a lot of... In the first volume, there's some commentary on the compartmentalization of Black artists and this pressure to kind of fit into this narrative that is consumable by white audiences. That may or may not be based on some personal experience. I don't know. Who can say, really? Fiction is a strange thing.
Pull that stuff out of the sky.
Yeah. Sometimes it just comes to me in a dream, Max. You know.
It would be crazy if it was true. Yeah.
Yeah, and there is this attempt to stop this event that is supposedly the beginning of the end. The murder of a young boy as he's walking home from a convenience store. So it explores that. It explores the possibility of trying to stop events that are already in motion. It explores even like whether there is a such thing as a watershed event. Like, is there something you can do or to stop? Like, is there one thing, or is it a series of things? Or is it just, or is it something that started so far back that trying to stop this one thing now is inevitable, you know?
Yeah.
So it's an interesting journey. It's also really heavy writing, so I have to take breaks. I'm in the middle of writing Watershed 2, and it's been rough. Like, obviously, because time, I don't have much of it, but like with everything that's going on right now, it just like sometimes you just feel so like too close to things, you know?
Yeah. So that'll like slow down the writing.
Yeah.
Do you feel like like with everything going on, sometimes you want to start taking it in different directions, or you feel like, oh, maybe I should add that, or maybe I should go away from that, or all of a sudden it's like rang too true, so maybe I should change it a little bit, or...
Oh, yeah. Like, Watershed 2 has now been through 6 different iterations, and it keeps changing. Yeah, there are just some things that, like, when I started writing in 2016, 2017, they just don't feel the same anymore. So it's been a process of like taking things out, adding things in, cutting things. Like whole sections had to be cut out because it just didn't feel right anymore. And that's an issue with writing something that's kind of based on current events, right? Like our perception of things is always changing. So things I felt one way about 2 years ago, I have a little bit more distance and perspective. So it has a different tone or patina to it now. So
yeah. Okay. Yeah. That's awesome. All right, maybe one last Watershed question.
Okay.
So you're writing part 2, but it's a 9-part series. Do you already have like the overall general story like figured out, or you don't know how it'll end?
I have major points, like narrative points that I intend to hit. And when I started writing this, I definitely had an ending, but that has even changed now. So
Okay, cool. Yeah.
And I think also a part of that is like I started writing this when I was in the middle of grad school, and my confidence as an artist, my confidence as a Black artist, and what I was capable of getting away with has shifted. So I think it's easier for me now to take more risks and to be more honest. So that has definitely changed some things.
Yeah, that's exciting. That sounds good.
Thanks.
So yeah, part 1 is already out now, available on a variety of sites. Part 2, and when is part 2 coming out?
Summer of 2020.
Yeah, summer of 2020, part 2. Watershed.
Yes.
Awesome. And as a kind of like a project, maybe, I don't want to say on the side, but a second project you're also working on, which I personally enjoyed, as always, thought was like fun, are these like mini zines started working on.
Yeah, like I said, Watershed gets pretty heavy emotionally and psychologically, so I've tried to get into the habit of giving myself like fun little projects that I can use to take breaks, and the mini zines have been really cool. Like, so I've decided to start doing these mini zines on like Black femme entertainers, and I started because I wanted there to be like a mini book about Megan Thee Stallion, because I think she's amazing. And I just did it one day. And I was like, wow, this is much easier to do than I thought it would be. Because, like, I have all these random assortments of, like, access to, like, book-making, zine-making materials. I should do this. So then I did one for Nina Simone. And it was just, like, a really fun thing. And I think I'm going to keep going. I think I want to do Missy Elliot next. So,
oh yeah.
Yeah.
And are these zines available for people to get?
Yes, those are also on blackfempress.com.
Okay, oh yeah.
And I'll link that site in the show notes.
Okay, cool. Yeah, the zines are very cool. It's fun.
Thanks, Max.
Yeah.
All right, let's switch interview chairs here.
Okay, let me get up real quick. Let's watch the cables.
All right. So, your bio is very mysterious, Max.
Yes.
It's full of all of these like amazing words, some of which are like hybrids or combinations of words that I recognize, but together they mean like different things. So, I guess what I want to start with is like the kinds of performance works that you have done most recently and what those are about.
Yeah, let me see. I'm trying to think of my most recent performance. I think the most recent thing I did was like a collaboration with like Jaleesa and Sarah and this person named Ashlyn. So let me go a little further back. I did, I guess, like, yeah, earlier in the year, I did something at the S1 farewell. And then a similar thing at a Wi-Fi show earlier before that. And I think potentially I have like, I do have something coming up. I guess we can get to at that section.
Yeah.
But yeah, recent performances have been. I feel like now I'm about to turn a corner, so it's kind of like hard to think about that mindset again.
Yeah.
But I've been thinking about. What have I been thinking about? Yeah, so they've been like more like showing videos as if I was like a video DJ.
Okay.
But I call them like visual poems. So they're these like maybe a minute to like 30-second short videos. They're like visual poems. So instead of just like standing up in front of people and reciting several poems, I'll like just play a bunch of videos and maybe introduce them in between as a way to like give me a reason to be in front of people versus just having them all play at once. And then yeah, they've been collage, digital collages of images. I've resourced, appropriated a lot of like paintings that will be like photoshopped and digitally edited. And then they become like backgrounds or they become like frames. They're like repeated and mirrored. I'll use like, movie clips. There's this one that I guess I'm thinking of, maybe it's even if I explain one, where it's like this painting of like Saladin entering Jerusalem. So then I distorted that and like, put like a lot of magenta and purple in it and then like mirrored it. And then that served as like a frame for different clips from, that movie City of God.
Yeah.
So the part where Shaggy and his girlfriend are trying to like run away from town and like trying to like, make it across the border, that whole like bank robber scenario of like, just like, let me get across the border and then I can live happily ever after. But then like he dies and they kill him and he doesn't get out. So like clips like that, with like some like fuchsia and magenta, and maybe some hip hop instrumental beat. I don't know if that explained anything. I feel like I just rambled for like a couple minutes.
I have some I have some follow-up questions. So like the things that you're appropriating, the hip hop beats, these very specific movies that like I attach to certain memories that have their own place in the culture, quote unquote. Like how is this part of like this idea of building like a Black mythos within your work?
Yeah, like so I think when it comes to resourcing materials, I think like everything already exists, right? The whole like there's nothing new, so it's all about just like reassembling it in a different order or like making different connections. I love the idea of making like connections from like two disparate things.
Yeah.
That can kind of like it can be like really funny or it can be like really tragic depending on how you do it. Finding similarities between two things that like maybe weren't meant to be aligned. I feel like there's like I'm fascinated and I get a real joy out of doing that. So this idea that like of this like black mythos of this like pantheon of like pre-Earth outer entities, deities that like we were like part of are currently is like it's all there. Everything's already there, and it's just like finding like my version of it or like my truth through using like as like a visual person, as somebody that is like watches a lot of like hip hop videos or consumes a lot of like visual media. I was like, oh yeah, I want to like reflect this with some like mystical but then there's like also this like inherent tragedy that I think like an acceptance of tragedy and an acceptance of tragedy as like a step of like metamorphosis and transformation. This like then also like being a student of history, like an awareness of the present, but then also this like understanding of repetition, and maybe the tragedy of repetition. And maybe that's where like my pessimism or like nihilism comes in, is that like, oh yeah, it's like all happened before will happen again kind of thing. Yeah.
Well, do you consider it pessimism or do you consider it nihilism?
I like nihilism a little bit better because like obviously it's like more dangerous and cool and like punky and like broken glass.
Yeah. And like you have like a pretty like extensive background with punk culture, right? Back like in Texas.
Yeah, I mean, or so they tell me. So
okay.
I don't want to be telling tales out of school as a kid. Yeah, so I think it's like it's the idea, like of collaging, like a world out of existing worlds.
Can you talk a little bit about like your color palette choices? Because you have a very specific color palette. It like I recognize it almost immediately now.
Yeah, I think like a lot of it is like thinking about blackness in all these like ways. Obviously, I don't think I'm the first person to think about these things, and like I think because of other people have thought about these things is like where I'm pulling it from. That like the idea that like blue is black, the idea that like purple is black, like things like that. That's like other people have already like come to that before me. So I think it's just like building on that or like taking that as like, okay, this is like part of a visual language of like purples and then like and blues or cool colors or something. Obviously like black, when I think about black, I think about like cool, so cool colors, but also like obviously black can be like every other color in the spectrum, but yeah, I think that's like where a lot of that comes from. This kind of like also like millennial cyberpunk Afrofuturist leaning of like hypersaturation as well. This idea of like growing up in decayed megacities, and a lot of like TV screens all around.
Yeah.
And like kind of like remember like a time where maybe things were real, but now there's only a time where everything is via screen. I think about
that. You mentioned like this idea of pre-Earth blackness, but then you're also talking about like this post-apocalyptic existence as well. Like, are you trying to say a particular thing about time and its uselessness, or is that just like something I'm projecting?
No, that's totally like a valid read. Yeah, I think about time as this like funny thing. It's like really funny, like you see like a person in a moment, and you're like, maybe you see somebody like drop something, and you're like, oh, is that person clumsy?
Mm-hmm.
But like all you see is like that one moment where like somebody drops something, or you see like another moment where somebody like maybe like finds $1 on the street, and you're like, oh, is that person lucky? Or like, wow, that person sure seems real fortunate. But it's just like a moment in time, and then like yeah, thinking about like time as this like right like a river you can like be in or you can be outside of. Thinking about the idea of like black people existing before Earth,
Mm-hmm.
or outside of Earth, and like what is blackness outside of Earth, right? Like outside of like Africa, outside of like history,
Mm-hmm.
outside like before everything we knew. Like there's like so many things about like right space people, or there's this line I forget, like it's some rap song, I forget what rap song or like who sings it, but it's like caveman thought the earth was flat. I guess I could type it into Google. Hey, caveman thought the earth was flat while like black man traveled around the earth and back. And it was like that's like I was like, of course, like we were like out here being like spacefarers, charting stars, while like people living in the Caucasus Mountains were like slamming rocks together, right?
Yeah. So I'm gonna ask you that question that, like, every black artist is sick of getting, but I don't know if we've ever talked about this, which is actually kind of awesome in itself, but like, what are your thoughts about your work and how it's situated in Portland in front of this specific kind of audience? There's a very specific kind of art audience.
Yeah. Like I think I feel its effect on my art, my practice. Obviously, like in a number of ways about like coming here to go to school.
Mm-hmm.
Had I gone somewhere else to go to school, like what kind of like art would have been like made in that incubator.
Mm-hmm.
And then now being like a few years on afterwards, I've definitely felt like I've become a lot more what's the word? I don't want to say like reclusive, but a lot more like there's a lot more I feel like layers between me and like the way I show my art versus like coming out of the gate. I think it was a lot more like direct performance.
Yeah.
And it became like the presentation of a video, and then it became like presenting a video, and then it's like how do I remove myself from this thing? But then it's also like what is the art about? What is it doing? Who's it for? If I'm over here like having to be so further away from like the edge of the stage or whatever. But I think about that all the time because I feel like trying to be aware of like places insensitive to like environments and atmospheres. Yeah. So I am curious about like if I move to another place, what kind of like life I would take on.
Yeah. I mean, and this is probably just the like, well, part of it is the bitterness, but like I'm of the mind that as a black artist, I am not required to insert my body or my person into any of my work. Like, I feel that any black artist that chooses to do that is offering up an extreme generosity in the face of how our bodies have been received in general. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I do notice a difference in your work, like in the beginning when we first started at grad school together, like you were doing like direct performance works. And now you're right, it's like 2 or 3 times removed with like different kinds of filters in between that. Do you miss the direct performance work?
I miss like not. I feel like there's a part of me where I feel like not all the time, but I think in some times where I like am now suspicious of my audience, or like suspicious I think is a good word. Where I feel like there was a moment where before I was suspicious that I kind of miss that sometimes.
Oh.
But at the same time, I feel like I'm not suspicious because of nothing. It's not like a paranoid suspicion. I feel like it's a very genuine and well earned suspiciousness.
Yeah.
So I don't think I can like go back, but
yeah.
I do feel like I can't. I feel like I'm putting the cart in front of the horse, but I feel like I'm about to like turn a corner with some things. So I'm curious to see how it'll like be actualized in this next step, but we'll see.
All right, who's being cryptic now? Well, congratulations. Those are always fun moments.
Thank you, Melanie.
All right. So I guess we can now talk about the art we're getting into these days. I'm going to preface this by saying I have no free time anymore. I have no life. I don't get to be a human being and do like human being things. So there has not been a whole lot of art at the moment, including my own, which makes me very, very sad. So what kind of art are you getting into, Max?
Yeah, I guess like to tack on to what I was just saying, I think one of the things I've started pushing myself with is writing these like poems in Spanish. I've always had like a back and forth relationship with Spanish. Being that like I don't speak Spanish, but my dad speaks Spanish. Half of my family speaks Spanish. People assume I speak Spanish. So I feel like I've always felt like an unness around the language. So I started like writing these like poems using Spanish, but not necessarily like focusing on the meaning of every word, but trying to just like let it flow and like continually writing, and maybe like clunky or like foreign, but I kind of like really dig them, and I think they're gonna open up some other path.
Yeah, that sounds really exciting.
Yeah, so we'll see.
Do you feel like you'll ever get to a point where you'll feel more comfortable or resolved around like the idea of the Spanish language, or do you feel like that's just going to be one of those lifelong things?
No, I feel like I definitely feel like I hope it's resolved. I feel like it'll only take me being in a place where they speak Spanish for X amount of months to like get it. So I feel like it's just there. It's just beyond the reach. But I think it'll be something that I should accomplish or can accomplish or will. But I think obviously it'll be a lifelong thing of like trying to get better and learn it as close to English as I can. But I want to learn other languages too, but I feel like I'd be betraying myself to learn something other than Spanish first.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
Well, I'm excited to see like where these Spanish poems go.
Thank you. Yeah.
Is this something that you will be like a public part of your practice, or is this like something that's going to stay internal for the most part?
For the next thing that I'll be showing, it should be included.
Okay.
But yeah.
Cool. Well, that sounds amazing.
Yeah. Yeah, we'll see.
Cool. Well, I feel like we have like done some like good substantive talking. And now it's time for us to get into the mess. Because we all deserve to get a little messy, and there has been a lot to pick from in the past few weeks.
Yes.
So first up, I got a Cynthia Erivo update. For our listeners, they may remember that this is the British woman who has been given the plum role of Harriet Tubman, who has also spoken mad shit about American blacks. Most recently, with the chicken sandwich wars, Janelle Monae, and this hurts my heart, felt the need to tweet the following. Perhaps we put voting booths at every Popeyes location. while we wait on that sandwich, you can register and vote. And then there's like a little like stroking the chin emoji. And she tagged Popeyes and then put holla. And then, without missing a beat, I'm sure not more than 10 seconds went by after this was tweeted out. Here comes Cynthia Erivo, who responds to this obviously whack-ass tweet. This is not a bad idea. A place where folks don't get harassed is a public, inclusive place, makes for ease. So I'm gonna stop both of these people who are just loud and wrong. As someone who is from Georgia, who has spent most of my adult voting life in Georgia, there are plenty of fucking black folks who are voting already. There are black folks who stand in line for fucking hours in the rain voting. I know because I have been one of those people. So this whole respectability bullshit, implying that black people don't vote, in the middle of basically insulting black joy for no damn reason, is unacceptable. Absolutely unacceptable. And of course Janelle Monae walked it back, which is why I still love her. Cynthia Erivo did no such thing. It's like she wants no one to go see her goddamn movie. I don't know, what do you think, Max?
Yeah, no, Cynthia Erivo, I think, yeah, it still just keeps tacking it up. Yeah, I think it obviously is crazy to think that, I can entice black people to vote with fried chicken. I guess there was, I didn't see the Janelle Monae walking it back, so I guess that's good that she did do that.
Yeah.
But yeah, Cynthia Erivo, I feel like from the moment I was introduced to her and her tweets, there was no hope of any sensibility.
I don't know why these people want to critique American black folks so bad. It's like they can't wait. They can't wait.
I think like that's what I wonder is cause right, it's like how to imitate the things that American black people do. It's that okay, American black people razz each other. I'm a British person. I'm gonna if I'm imitating American blackness, do I imitate American blackness to the point of razzing American blackness?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Truth be told, I'm not terribly fond of the way Trevor Noah mimics American blackness. I got huge problems with that. So,
yeah.
It's just, this lack of sensitivity around the particulars of American slavery and the long-standing and still in effect, product of that is just mind-boggling to me.
Yeah, no, yeah. I think Trevor Noah is a very interesting point. I was actually watching a clip of his earlier today.
Oh.
Where he was I guess it was an airport scene, so he was getting through the airport.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I think it's so funny how he's received, what his audience is made of, compared to American Black comic. Then this is related to. I started reading the Ashada Shakur autobiography.
Oh, okay.
So I was reading it's still in the first chapter, which is talking about how her mom got them all to go to I think it was a zoo that only white people could go to, but her mom just went up to the front and was speaking Spanish and just acting like they weren't American, and then was eventually let in. And this being this moment in Asada's life where she was oh shit, obviously American black people are the lowest on the totem pole. Black people that aren't American black people from another country are going to be respected better in America than American black people.
Interesting. That sounds like I need to read that. I would like to. Yeah, I've never read Asada Shakur's biography, so. I mean, how is it so far?
It's good. I mean, I feel like I haven't read a biography or autobiography in a minute, but I
Is
like
it an
remember.
autobiography? Or
Yeah, it's an
okay,
autobiography.
it's
I think maybe she has somebody else writing her, but I don't think so. I have to look at the details again, but I think it's definitely at least mostly her, if not all her.
okay.
There's an Angela Davis forward, and some other guy did a forward too. But it's good. I mean, I enjoy biographies. I feel like they're like a pretty good read for me. But yeah, it's cool. There's what other part did I think? Oh yeah, she's talking about. There was this one part where she's like, right. This is like right after the whole New Jersey Turnpike thing. She's like in the hospital, like getting like brutalized by like all these white cops. So they're just like coming into the hospital room and like gouging her eyes with like chili pepper in their.
Oh my god!
Shit. She was talking about like they were like stick her fingers into her eyes with like like chili pepper and stuff like that, like insane shit like that. And then there's this like this hotel, this like black security guard from the hotel like was able to sneak into the room for like 1 minute. She's like going in and out of consciousness all the time, and then at first sees the security guard and thinks he's like a cop, or thinks he's like a cop that's gonna like fuck her up or something, and then he like gives like the black power fist, and then like it was like a momentary like relief, and then like see her again, but like she talked about like how that moment was like so vital to like this constant like brutalization.
Yeah.
But wow, it's cool. I haven't finished it, but it's a cool book.
Mm-hmm.
In similar news, I did see 2/3 of All Eyes on Me.
Oh, how was that?
The part I saw was alright. I remember hearing that like everybody hated it, and like Jada Pinkett Smith hated it, and but the guy that played Biggie in Notorious is the same guy that played Biggie in All Eyes on Me.
Yeah, I heard about that.
Like, does that mean there's like an All Eyes on Me Notorious universe? Like, is this the start of like a bunch of movies? I don't know. But...
Well, it would be nice if in any of these universes someone did a real ass solid story about Lil' Kim, because that's the movie I want to see.
Oh, that one's gonna be sick. That one's gonna be sick when it comes out.
I hope it comes out. I need somebody to write it. That'd be nice.
Yeah. Shit, maybe we should write it. Oh, maybe we should start as a Lil' Kim graphic novel. Maybe even Lil' Kim mini zine, the graphic novel. Screenplay.
I mean, there's definitely a Lil' Kim mini zine happening in this series. Like, it has to happen. So, but like, I remember watching the Biggie movie, and I was not happy with the treatment that Lil' Kim got in that.
Yeah, she was in like just in the beginning.
Yeah.
Or yeah.
Very frustrating, but yeah. But I mean, speaking of Biggie and Lil' Kim and New York rappers, I think it's time to talk about Sean Carter.
I do this in my sleep. I sold kilos of coke. I'm guessing I could sell CDs. I'm not a businessman. I'm a businessman. Let me handle my business. Damn.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
It's a complicated timeline. So I'm going to try and plow through this to the best of my ability. Max, jump in if I'm missing anything.
Okay.
And I know that it's your natural inclination to have empathy, but I need you to put that to the side, okay? And I need you to be real right now.
Yeah, no, I'm very real. I just want to, before you jump into it, Roger Goodell, I never seen what he looks like before, but the CEO or whatever, the chairman of the NFL, the commissioner, he looks just like Robin Williams.
Really?
I think so. Or in this one picture, at least.
Hold on, let me Google this. He's younger than I thought he was.
Yeah, he's like fit. He looks like he works out or whatever.
Oh. Wow, okay. That is not at all who I pictured in my head. He looks like a much waspier version of Robin Williams.
Yeah.
All right, so essentially, some rumors came out a few months ago that Jay-Z was possibly in talks with the NFL. And of course, that elicited whispers like, what the hell's going on? Why would Jay-Z be in talks with the NFL? Soon after, it later broke that Jay-Z had made a deal with the NFL. The details were very vague, but of course people were like, what the fuck is going on? And Jay-Z responded by saying that he had a conversation with Colin Kaepernick, and it was cool. Like, he implied that Kaepernick had given his blessing. To which Colin Kaepernick's girlfriend, Nessa, tweeted out, no the fuck he did not. I don't know what you're talking about. And then Colin Kaepernick, being Colin Kaepernick, tweeted out like some passage about capitalism and its effects, which was definitely a subtweet. Like, everybody knew who it was for. So more details came out about this deal. Jemele Hill wrote an article basically saying, I don't fully understand this. I'm willing to wait and see, but this looks real shady right now. And then details came out that there was some sort of like merch, music deal happening with Jay-Z and the NFL. And then after that, Jay-Z had said some comments about how we were past kneeling and now it's time for action or actionable something or other.
Actionable items.
Actionable items, but did not list said actionable items. He just said actionable items. And then apparently was selling shirts. Well, no, he wore a Kaepernick shirt on some TV, like
prior to all this, he had like, I think on SNL, maybe the last time he was there, he had worn a Colin Kaepernick jersey.
Yeah. And was selling shirts that said something like stay woke or some bullshit. I don't know. It was all a hot mess. Most recently, it came out that the two charities that Jay-Z and the NFL were partnering with, one of them is called the Crushers something?
Club.
The Crushers Club. And part of what they do, besides having a past that is connected to support of Trump, part of what they do is they convince young black men to cut off their locks in order to be successful.
Right.
So that's where we're at.
In addition to All Lives Matter tweets.
Yes. Now, I will preface this by saying, at no point in my adult life have I ever looked to any celebrity to shape or contribute to my political ideology, nor do I really expect them to make any goddamn sense. They're there to be celebrities. That's what they're set up as. What I have issue with is that Jay-Z seems to be literally capitalizing on a certain kind of cachet with activism and then doing the exact fucking opposite. Max, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, I think this is I think this is like messed up. I think this is gross. I think the idea of this like white lady smiling and cutting off these dreads is a very like gross image, and it's like not just in my head. There's like an actual picture of this like white lady cutting off this kid's dreads. Yeah, and this idea that like you're gonna like brainwash people. You're gonna brainwash these like young black boys, these young black men into like thinking that like, oh, how I get further to success is by cutting off my dreadlocks, which is like obviously some of these dreadlocks have been taking like years to grow.
Yep.
And the fact that you were even associating the idea of like dreadlocks with like out some type of like not having dreadlocks as like being more successful or like being more on the path to success, or like obviously there's so much like in that that's like ridiculous about like what is success, who is this like white lady to deem successful. Like obviously it's also like success in this like racist American system. This idea of like dreadlocks being like this like really beautiful symbol and icon of like blackness being this thing that you need to get rid of to advance in the world and advance in this like white world where even it was pointed out that Jay-Z has dreads. He's out here trying to grow his dreads out.
Yep.
He's still in the process. He's still trying to get them going. In 4 or 5 years at the Crusher Club, going to come to him and ask him to cut his dreads off, saying, hey, Jay-Z, if you really want to make something of yourself, you need to cut your dreadlocks off.
Yeah, it's mind-boggling. And, like, we all know that Jay-Z is a pretty calculated businessman. He has plenty of acumen. So, the way I see it, there are only 2 things that happened here. Either he delegated all of this shit to someone else who fell asleep at the wheel, or he knew exactly what the fuck was going on, didn't care, and hoped no one would catch it.
Yeah, I like to see that, like, he's better than that. Like, I like to see that he wouldn't, like, I would like to believe that deep down in his heart, he wouldn't support a program where it's, like, white women tweeting out all lives matter or like cutting dreadlocks off. Like I would love to believe that, but I don't know. At the end of the day, if he was like, you know, how the business meeting went, if they're like Crusher Club, somebody you need to support, if he didn't even know about Crusher Club or if somebody else picked Crusher Club for him or what, but still he still saw an opportunity in the NFL. Like I think that's very clear, and then he like went for it. He'd be like, the NFL is like trying to get black audience. I have a black audience, blah, blah, blah. You know, it's like, I think that's still the clear picture.
Yeah.
Which is, I mean, like, yeah, from a business point of view, it's like, okay, this guy's trying to achieve, obviously he's going to have to, like, share space with evil men, but at what point is the limit? You know, at what point?
Yeah, I'm just very, very tired, to be honest. Like, there's a whole, like, faction of folks who are saying stupid shit like, you know, he's playing chess, not checkers. Like, he's in it for the long game. To which I say, do you know how to play chess? Like...
yeah, or checkers.
Or checkers.
Can go on for a long time.
That's true. I mean,
chess can be a short game, too.
Yeah. I'm tired, and anyone with a lick of sense knows that black capitalism is not the way. Any form of capitalism is not going to be the thing that saves us. Capitalism is built on the idea that black folks are on the bottom.
Yeah. And that's like that's another crazy thing, like thinking that like, oh, if I work with the NFL, then they're going to become less of this like racist, oppressive institution. Mm-hmm. It's like that's not gonna change. They're just gonna like have a better patina, as you said earlier, right? A better facade. Mm-hmm. About like not looking that way, or like convincing other people that it's not about that thing. And it's like, thank God people are out here like doing research and finding out what these like organizations are really about, and like finding out that there's like crazy ass white ladies out here cutting dreads off and getting money from Jay-Z to do it.
I mean, I'm not gonna lie, there is a part of me that like, as like bitter and jaded and seasoned as I am, there's a part of me that hurts, that like is really hurt that Jay-Z is a part of this, you know? Not that I should expect better, I mean, but still, you know.
Yeah. No, I think so too. Yeah, I feel like we're like, somebody put on a Jay-Z mask and was like running around making all these proclamations. Mm-hmm. But yeah, I guess we'll see how it all plays out. But
pretty much.
We'll see what the next Jay-Z album is like.
I think he's done, right?
I don't know.
I mean, he's retired.
Is he retired?
I mean, have you seen him perform with his wife? Like, she's running laps around him. He gets winded after, like, a verse.
Yeah, well. I wonder what Jay-Z's sign is. I know Beyonce's a Virgo, which makes complete sense.
I didn't know that. Okay.
Yeah. She's like, perfectionist, attention to detail. What's that one? There's like that one movie. I guess it's maybe the one that's on Netflix, where she's like going after like individual people. Like maybe somebody's like playing the French horn wrong or something, and like we need to get rid of that guy or something. I don't know.
Are you talking about Homecoming?
Maybe. Is that the one where they did the behind the scenes for that one? Okay, then yeah, maybe not.
Yeah, that was the one where she's like, I gave y'all notes, and until you apply the notes that I already gave you, I don't see the point in us continuing to practice.
Yeah.
And she was like, it's my anniversary, so I need to leave now, but y'all need to think about what I just said.
Yeah, then like Jay and like Lou were there to like pick her up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Jay was just sitting there like, I'm not saying anything.
It seems like that's what he does. It seems like he just chills a lot now.
Yeah.
But he was probably under surveillance or something.
Wait, what? Wait, what did you say?
I said he's probably under like 24-hour surveillance or something.
Oh. Maybe, but he's also like, I think he is in full on like retirement mode. Like he's in that like quote unquote self-actualization phase of his life where he's like just chilling and looking back at all the things and retrospective.
Yeah, he's like reading The Secret.
I would not be surprised.
That's where the NFL idea came from.
All right, well, I mean, I'm sure more JC things will happen.
Yeah.
This ain't over. I heard some team was talking about bringing Kaepernick on.
Yeah, I think that would be cool. Like, I mean, like, I don't know about like NFL and sports that like full well, but from what I've heard from people, he wasn't like that amazing of a quarterback. He was like a second string quarterback.
Okay.
I don't know, but I still think like he would. But I feel like he would bring people in, but I could also see how he would like negate maybe like a large white audience or something.
That's true. White people were so fucking upset about kneeling. They still are. Like, really? You're upset because a man kneeled to protest the murder of black people.
You know white people, they get mad about stuff. They just stay mad.
They do.
They're that cranky guy so long.
Like, you heard about that whole ass episode of Blackish that was scrapped because they just mentioned Kaepernick. Right?
No, I didn't hear about that.
Yep. Never aired. They just took it right out.
Episode?
Huh?
Was this a recent episode?
No, it was a couple years ago.
Mm.
Yeah.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like they could have done that episode.
Well, you know, ABC. No comment.
I feel like they brought up other black things before. I'm trying to remember specifically, but I feel like there's moments. Black episodes.
But their line in the sand was mentioning Kaepernick.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
ABC, Disney.
Mm-hmm. Yepers. So. All right, let's talk about something happy.
Okay.
The new Missy Elliot album. Have you listened to it?
I've only listened to that music video. I haven't listened to the rest of the album yet.
I show you how I do it. Show you how it's done. Don't look for another Missy, cause there be no another one. Watch me, throw it back. 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 Throw it back. Throw it back. Throw it back. Watch me, 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 throw it back. Throw it back. Throw it back. Throw it back.
The rest of the album, it goes.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love it a lot.
Cool.
It's an EP. They're only like 5 tracks, but it's amazing.
Oh, okay,
yeah.
So it's an EP. Okay.
Yeah. What'd you think of the throwback video?
I loved it. I thought it was all the classic Missy Elliott things.
Mm-hmm.
It just like I feel like only with time are we seeing, like, as time goes on, do we see how visionary Missy Elliott was, currently is still being.
Mm-hmm.
Because I remember, like, being a little kid and, like, watching some Missy Elliott videos and being like, is this like, oh, is this crazy? But now just, like, craving that kind of stuff. Be like, I want to see some crazy shit.
Yeah.
Like, the part where they all become bald. Like, that's still funny. Like, Missy Elliott still has, like, humor. And, like, it's still, like, having fun with it. Where I feel like there's so much seriousness. But it's still, like, I still, like, love the theatrics of Missy Elliott.
Yeah. Like, it was the theatrics, it was, like, the beauty and the colors, but it was also, like, the fun, right? And the imagination. Yeah. And it does feel like we've lost a little bit of that.
Yeah. And then, I threw up some YouTube comments, so it brings me to that one where somebody said, one woman that doesn't have to beef to promote music, love you, Missy.
Yeah.
Missy Elliott I don't feel like starts fights with people.
No. Everybody loves Missy
like,
Elliott.
Yeah. I don't feel like Missy Elliott thinks she's in competition with people. I'm trying to think of other people that are even similar to Missy Elliott, like visually, auditorially, currently. I'm wondering.
I don't think there is anyone like Missy. I don't think there ever will be.
Yeah. The Queen is back, people. Missy looks like everyone's cool auntie that brings the most food to the cookout and never gets married or has kids. Yeah.
It was really, it's great to see her come back. Do you think she's back, or you think it's just like a pop-in?
I feel like she's probably back.
I hope so. We need her.
You said, music video, EP. Mm-hmm. Who knows? Maybe a tour's coming up.
I mean, I kind of feel like she's also kind of in that retrospective phase of her life. And honestly, like, there's a part of me that whenever Black people get to that point where they don't have to work no more, I feel bad, like, asking them to work some more, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I don't know. Were you the one that said that, the reason she went away is because she got sick?
I think so. You told me that I was, and now I feel like, did I say that? Because I think I remember hearing that. So I feel like I should have, like, tried to find that story again. But I think that was true. Like, she had some, like, ailment and was, like, slowly getting sicker. And then, had to take a break. And then I guess maybe it's better now. But I should find where I heard that from and find my sources.
I mean, ultimately, I just want her to be healthy and living her best life. And maybe she doesn't want to tour and be around all these crazy-ass people.
Right. I mean, I guess touring is only, like, an aspect of music. I mean, I guess you could probably be a musician and not have to tour.
Yeah.
But it seems like touring is where a lot of people make their money.
I think that's the way that industry is set up. Like, they make their money on, like, a fraction of the ticket sales and, like, the selling of the merch and stuff.
Yeah.
Which is just kind of a symptom of the fucked up system.
Yeah.
Because they're not making money on, like, streams anymore.
Yeah. Who makes the stream money? Is it the services?
Probably, yeah. The services and all the executives and all that.
Or, like, Missy gets, like, what? Like, if it's 99 cents to stream a song, does she get 10 cents? I don't know.
I don't know how that whole thing works. I know Taylor Swift, like, did some things 4 or 5 years ago that kind of made things better for artists, because, like, she made a big stink about it, but I don't know how much better it really got.
Yeah. Oh yeah, there's this other comment. Can we take the time to appreciate that Missy Elliott is almost 50 and still looks like she's in her 20s and 30s?
Yeah.
Queen.
Oh, I see this other comment. This is the hip hop I miss. I'm tired of these mumble rappers.
Yep.
I mean, that's a little get off my lawn, but you know.
Yeah, I mean, I think it'll be interesting to see, like, what stays through time, because I mean, I guess also it's like, I feel like a lot of people, or like a lot of the things that are like fall under the umbrella of like mumble rap, like somebody that doesn't know rap will say like, oh, that's mumble rap. And I think there's a lot of stuff that like somebody would say is mumble rap that's not actually probably not considered mumble rap.
Yeah.
Or like also people that just like aren't from the South be like, I understand everything that person just said, but I understand that you don't understand what that person just said. But
yeah. Speaking of the South, there's an argument brewing on the Twitter sphere, because someone said something stupid about OutKast and how Dre 3000 the reason why people prefer Dre 3000 is because he represents the respectable Negro, and Big Boy represents the Negro from the hood. To which I say, some of these people just need to stop talking and shut the fuck up, because no one who has ever listened to OutKast feels that way. That's some old bullshit. Everyone who really listens to OutKast secretly knows, even if they won't say, that Big Boy is the better lyricist. Like, come on.
Yeah, I don't think that's a weird thing to admit. I mean, like, yeah, Andre 3000 is definitely, like, respectability, I don't know, but, like, weird ability for sure. Like, if you're trying to be, like, what's, like, less stereotypically black, Andre 3000 is more that thing. Mm-hmm. But, I don't think that's, like, that has to do with, like, Andre 3000 is more respectable, because, like, remember that, did you ever see that Key and Peele skit?
I was just thinking about it, yes. I love that skit.
I'd rather, like, if that was a reality, I'd rather bring Big Boy over and, like, hang out with Big Boy than, like, somebody dressed in, like, all green. Looking like an Oompa Loompa, right?
I mean, you heard about the latest with Dre 3000, right?
No, I don't know.
He's been,
like, so.
People have been, like, I think from, like, in both New York and Atlanta, he was walking around with a flute, and people kept saying, I just saw Dre 3000 playing a flute, and some people posting up pictures. He was just walking around playing a flute and shit, which, that's on brand. But
I think that just goes with your black people in retirement.
Yes, it does. Yes.
If he wants to walk around New York playing his flute, I guess that's
I mean, let me get to the point where I can just walk around in my pajamas doing random ass weird shit, and people will still think I'm awesome. That would be amazing.
Yeah, that would be amazing.
That's the dream, Max. That's the dream.
Yeah, here's the dream.
What else? Okay, so, as our listeners may not know, because I think I've only alluded to it once, we are not currently in the same room or city right now. I'm here in Portland in this hot-ass sound booth, as per usual, but Max is in Texas right now. So, yes. Max, can you give me a quick life update on what's going on and how you're doing?
Yes, I am currently in Texas. Had to flee in the cover of darkness with only what I could carry.
Okay.
Texas is hot.
It's so extra.
I forgot how hot Texas could be. My flight came in at 5 a.m. and it was already 87 degrees outside. The TV says it's going to be the hottest September on record.
Ooh, damn.
I'm going to be here for most of the month, looking for a room in Portland on my return. So, if you have any leads, send them my way. The Mexican food here is really good.
Oof, yes.
I just found out earlier today. I'm staying with my parents, and we will be doing a road trip to El Paso, which is a 10-hour drive from Dallas, for one of my cousin's 50th birthday parties.
Oh, wow.
So I'm going to be going to El Paso.
I bet El Paso's food is amazing.
Yeah, El Paso is amazing. Hopefully it's not hotter than here, but it probably will be.
Uh-huh.
But yeah, it should be fun. Yeah, I've had some changes in my day-to-day life and living situation to where I am in between rooms as well as partners now. So there's that.
Mm-hmm. And have you felt like being there has given you time to like reflect and rest and like gather your inner strength?
In some ways, I've been able to like swim in pools again.
Mm-hmm.
But my mom asked me to do stuff all the time. So there's that.
Mm-hmm.
I've had to do yard work again.
Mm-hmm.
I'm out in the heat, moving things, cutting bushes. But I've had a Whataburger. I've had some amazing tacos, some amazing Mexican food. So
I'm so jealous.
yeah, in that sense, it's been nice. It's been nice to be in a AC again. I know they don't have that much in Portland. So.
They do at the places I hang out. That's for damn sure.
Well, I guess I'm just going to the wrong places.
I guess what I'm asking is, are you ready to put on your best scarf and sunglasses and your high boots and sing No More Drama in the style of Mary J. Blige?
Yes, I'm gonna not talk for a while so I can get my voice real gravelly and scratchy, and then I can perform that feat.
Great. Okay. Well, you sound good. I'm happy that you're getting some like respite. You deserve it, Max.
Thank you, Melon.
I see you have here on our notes sympathy for Thanos. I'm gonna let you handle that. What do you mean by that?
I've been thinking about this a lot recently.
Uh-huh.
I've been thinking about it maybe since Infinity War. I've been thinking about turning to dust. I've been thinking about what is dust, right? They say dust is 80% human skin. Is turning to dust, turning to flesh. I also have been thinking about Thanos as this sympathetic character, going back to my earlier connotations of purple and blackness. So I feel like there's a part of me that's always thought about Thanos as being black. And then I feel like it puts a different spin on things. Yes, you brought up genocide, but when I watched the end of Endgame, spoilers.
Spoiler for Endgame. Spoiler. Boo, boo, boo.
All I see is Thanos, somebody that had a goal and had a dream, being thwarted, and then he like looks around. He sees his old vision turn to dust, and then he looks, and then who does he see? Captain America. Pretty much the epitome of this like old imperialistic, oppressive world, right? The Nazis' wet dream. Yes, we call him Captain America, but he's like, yeah, he's Captain Fascist in some ways.
I mean, they actually made him fascist in the comics.
Yeah, see, there you go. I mean, you call what's the expression? Pot calling the kettle black. A spade's a spade. But yeah, like I feel like I saw like Captain America comes off as really nationalistic, imperialistic.
Oh yeah.
Opportunistic, chauvinistic, materialistic. But so yeah, so seeing it in that light is like, oh, here's this guy with like a vision and dream, and then here comes Captain America to stomp him out. I understand that Iron Man is the one that snaps the fingers, but the last person that Thanos looks at is Iron Man. I mean, it's Captain America. Yeah, but
Max.
So I'm thinking about that. Yeah.
But I mean, he killed his daughter, though.
Yes, that is true. So I'm not saying this idea is without hope. It still was presented as the Thanos hypothesis.
Okay.
I think it was introduced as. But I guess like the thing I want to harp on is Thanos, like for those outside of the Marvel sphere of influence or knowledge, Thanos is an eternal. So he's born to this immortal race of beings that have been around for millions of years. And every one of them is like a beautiful kind of Greek god looking character, right? The Eternals. But Thanos was born purple with a weird chin, bald. He was born with a deviant mutate gene, so it made him a mutant amongst these beautiful eternal gods. So from the get-go, Thanos is cast as the adversary. Like, outside of his choice, he's already in opposition to the world he exists in. Mm-hmm. He's this ugly purple baby in this world of Greek god-looking characters. Mm-hmm. And then how are we to blame him for the route that he takes from the world that he inherits?
But don't you feel like that's taking away his agency and his free will to say that there was no way he could have not turned out to be this, like, homicidal, genocidal maniac because that's the world that was handed to him?
I don't think it was handed to them that way. I don't think it was like he came out and then became a homicidal maniac. I think it was through a lifetime of probably heartbreak of people telling him, "No, Thanos, you can't. You're purple. No, Thanos, you can't. You have an ugly chin. No, Thanos, you can't. You're bald." Or, "No, Thanos, you're not one of us beautiful Greek god-looking Eternals." Or, like, people just automatically, like, because right, they're around for millions of years. So how would being treated like a villain for millions of years make you act after millions of years?
I mean, I have not been treated that way for millions of years, so I can't say.
Exactly. So maybe none of us are in a position to critique Thanos.
Oh, okay. Well, damn, Max. I'm just saying, like, I feel I am a black woman, in case the listeners don't know. I am a dark-skinned black woman, now with natural 4C hair, who is short and not a size 0, and I don't have, like, immediate Eurocentric features. So there is a way that I have been treated my whole life from everybody. But it didn't make me hate people. And believe me, I could easily hate people if I based it just on how I've been treated. Hell, how I've been treated in the last 7 days. I feel like in some ways you could say the same. Am I wrong?
On that thread, if somebody handed you an infinity gauntlet and said you could make one snap and erase half of the white population, would you snap your fingers?
First of all, I think it's fucked up for you to ask me that on air. Second, my blackness will not allow me to answer that question. But I will flip the question on you. Would you snap?
That'll be for off air. But
you know there's no way I'm answering that question.
As somebody that's sympathetic to Thanos, I think you might know where I would land. So what's up in Dallas with Dallas art?
That was a weird non sequitur, Max. I thought we were still on Thanos, but apparently we're off that.
I didn't notice.
Okay, Max, what's up in Dallas?
I went to an art show recently.
Okay.
Trying to maximize my time.
Okay.
Tell
me about it.
So I can't tell if this space is called Dallas Plant or just called Plant, but it's an art space in Dallas called Plant.
Okay.
Or Dallas Plant. I went there. Obviously, like, I just from the get-go, if I'm comparing Dallas to Portland, far more brown people at the art opening. It was hot. It was hot inside of the gallery. It was hot outside of the gallery. The artist was David Jeremiah.
Mm-hmm.
David Jeremiah. And I feel like I was intrigued by the art. I had some questions. I was so curious about how art based around like race lands in Dallas compared to Portland.
Mm-hmm.
This guy, like, I guess like to I don't know if it's a disservice or a service to the performance artists to describe the performance. You go into the space, it's like a square, and then on the back wall are four like pedestals, I guess, made out of cinder blocks, each with a different item on top. One has a cell phone, which is playing a video of a person engaging in the performance. The other one has a bunch of tattoo caps, like the little caps they put the ink in for tattoos, but they all look like to be full of water, but maybe they're full of white tattoo ink. And then the one next to it is full of Bic pins with like little metal attachments taped on to the top of them.
Yeah.
And then the last column, or the last podium, is a Ku Klux Klan hood.
Oh.
And then there's text on the wall that describes what you're supposed to do. You're supposed to put on the Ku Klux Klan hood. You are supposed to take the pins with the metal tip and then the tattoo ink tops, and then you're supposed to go across the room, and on the other side of the room is like a cinder block box made out of those like concrete cinder blocks that form like a prison cell. And then there's this man, David Jeremiah, who's this black guy, full of tattoos, just wearing shorts. He's like living, it's what appears to be like living inside of the space. There's like books, toilet paper, some other materials in there, like a makeshift bed. So then a participant will walk in there, and then we'll start using the materials to potentially tattoo him. So I saw somebody do it live. Obviously, I saw this. I looked around and saw the pieces. Like, well, I'm not gonna put that hood on, but was like still curious to see what happens. So of course, a white lady comes in, and she's brave enough to do it. So she puts the hood on and does the stuff, and then goes inside his like prison cell. And then it seems like he, before the performance that started, before the show began, had like tattooed an outline of like a Klan hood on his rib cage. So it seemed like somebody would come in, and then they would start tattooing that section and filling it in with white ink. So at the part I saw it, there's only like a few sections filled in, and like the majority of the tattoo was still empty. So then the white girl was like tattooing him for a little bit, wearing the Ku Klux Klan hood, and then at some point he like rips the hood off and then like takes the stuff from her and says like, "What the fuck are you doing? Don't do that shit," and like kind of like berates her, and then like leaves. And I was curious about, is that is that what he does to everybody? Is it because a white person had somebody that was not white done it? Would they have got the same reaction? So those are like some of the questions I had. Obviously she like left and then tried to like apologize to him a bunch, and he ignored her. And then she was like, because he was holding the hood and then like kind of like folding it, and then she was like, you should make that tattoo, put the hood back. And then she said it a bunch of times, and he was just like ignoring her. And then she like kind of like went off and started like crying with some of her friends.
That sounds intense. Shit. Yeah,
so I was like, is this like a really good performance piece? Is this like intense? Like how does this play? Not being in Dallas in years. And then I was like, how would it play in Portland?
Oh God! Can you
like
imagine?
Yeah, I think it was too rough for Portland. I think like people in Portland would like freak out or call their like security blanket friends to come and hang out with them or something.
Well, we've seen some hot takes of Black performance art from white folks who don't know what the fuck they're talking about. So,
Yes.
like, I could just imagine that, like, happening in Portland, and then the person, they wouldn't run off crying, they would try to, like, have a conversation and explain what the artist is doing wrong.
Yeah, that's true. If you really want to make this an impactful piece.
Exactly. Oh my god.
Yeah.
I mean, that sounds cool. So you're, like, going to art shows and stuff. You're, like, staying up on shit.
I went to that one. I haven't been to anything else cool yet. But yeah, we'll see. I mean, I'm curious.
Okay.
To see, like, what's going on amongst, like, obviously, like, I know about, like, the big places. But, like, yeah, like, what, like, an artist run space is up to. It was cool to check that out.
Mm-hmm. Cool. All right, so now I am going to introduce a segment of the show that I call Celie's Glass of Water.
Old Mr. talking trash about Suge. Folks don't like nobody being too proud or too free.
She no more than a juke joint Jezebel.
So a drink of Celie's Glass of Water goes out to the organization or the person who has done the most and the worst. This week, the glass of water goes out to BET and their fuck-ass continued exclusion of black trans women in the Black Girls Rock celebration. As someone who has grown up on BET and has braved the era of Uncut and countless replays of Baby Boy that are edited out of all the good shit, I've given BET a pass for far too long. How the fuck, in the year 2019, do you have a celebration for black women and not include black trans women? Black trans women are out here like breaking through ceilings and being activists, and like they're the only ones fucking speaking up for the murders of black trans women. And you have this award celebration that supposedly celebrates black women doing these amazing things, and I didn't see not Nan, like I didn't see Janet or Laverne or Angelica or India, or well, India is non-binary, but like none of these women who are out here killing it, and like they're killing it in the way that's BET is supposedly into, with all the respectability bullshit. That's another conversation. And none of them were there. And no one fucking said anything about this. And I was like, was anyone invited? And Angelica Ross, who was formerly on Pose and is now on American Horror Story 1984, which I think comes out next week, she had to call this shit out. She had to call out Ava DuVernay, who retweeted Black Girls Rock, and be like, sis, are you aware that BET is excluding us? And I'm not thrilled with Ava DuVernay's response, even though I have loved Ava DuVernay in the past, and I have hope that she will do better in portraying all aspects of black life. But her response to Angelica calling her out was essentially, well, I included a black trans woman in When They See Us, and I'm not affiliated with BET. But sis, you retweeted that shit. That shit is still on your Twitter page. You're still supporting them. The proper response to you are supporting something that is excluding my experience is not, oh, well, I did some shit in my work, so it's cool. So, like, I heard, like, Tyler Perry inked a deal with BET, and BET is gonna do, like, this streaming thing and charging $10 or shit, to which I say, First of all, I was never going to buy that shit. I'm not spending Nancoin on BET for many reasons. If you black, you know what those reasons are. But also, fuck BET. Fuck BET, and I hope you try to get this shit right in the future, because I will not be supporting them if they continue like this. And the same goes for the NAACP Awards, by the way. And also, I'd like to point out that a lot of these celebrations co-opt the phrase Black Girl Magic. Here is what the creator of that term had to say about the BET Awards on Twitter. Quote, "When I said hashtag Black Girl Magic, I said it included my black trans sisters. Hashtag they leave those women out but can't keep BGM out their mouths. Fuck them, all of them." End quote. I think she said it better than me, so I'll leave it at that. All right, so now we're going to talk about art stuff around Portland. And in this segment, since Max and I are talking, Max, can you tell me what shows you're going to be in?
Yes. To talk about, September 29th, part of Future Prairie. I'll be like showing a little video with some other artists. I don't know where. I think there's a Facebook event. But yeah, September 29th. I'll be busting out some new shit. Come check it out. Some other cool people will be there. I have something else that I think is in the works, but it's still bumpy to where I don't want to like officially announce it yet. Yeah, so like I guess I'll wait on that one. But so for sure one, September 29th. The Future Prairie show.
All right.
Is what's coming up for Max.
Okay. Are there links that we can put in the show notes about this?
There are links that I will add to our notes for the show notes.
Thank you.
Yes.
As for me, I am starting my convention circuit. It's a really truncated one because I have 11 jobs. But this Friday, I will be speaking at the Rose City Comics Convention with Emily Lewis, who is currently directing Miss Anthology, along with some other cool folks, and we'll be talking about arts education and comics. Next month, I will be in the Olympia Zine Fest, and in November, I will be at the Short Run Festival in Seattle, Washington. And you can go to my Instagram to get the dates for all of those things. Link in the show notes.
Hell yeah, amazing shit, Melanie. Check out all or any of those events.
Cool.
Parting words? Oh, wait. If we're talking about artist stuff around Portland, how's CBA going?
I went to the back to school Kiki Ballroom show. But it was so crowded that I couldn't get close enough to the stage to see anyone.
Shit.
So I ended up hanging out in the back drinking and chatting with people. Which is my way.
Yeah.
But it was hella fun. And I had planned to go to a bunch of events, but I'm literally like pulling 14-hour days at work, so it ain't happening for me right now.
Yeah.
Hopefully that will change, but yeah, there are a couple things I really was excited about checking out, but I didn't have it. Couldn't do it.
Yeah.
I did go to the opening of the Portland Biennial, which was fire.
Oh yeah, I think I saw you there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was pretty great.
Any standouts?
Huh?
Any standouts?
Yes. As a matter of fact, I really enjoyed Sharita Town's work. Sarah Seastrom Ruben Garcia Marufo had some excellent work up as well. But all around, it was just a really well done show. And the curators are absolutely amazing. So and I think they got a cover story on the latest Willamette Week. So.
Oh yeah, I think I saw that. Yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah. So that was cool. Hopefully I have to do like a Saturday class with my students, and I think what I'll do is I'll do like a little mini art walk. So I'll get to see some some art that way. Multitasking.
Nice. Yeah.
All right, so I think we're done. It's time for parting words. Max?
All right, I'll go first. Parting words. NTP, Nigerian Project Podcast, you all is going to be there. Support us on Patreon. Follow us on Instagram. My Instagram is salsa_moon. Follow me on Instagram. maxx.com. Future Prairie is the Veil, September 29th. In Northwest. Taking a Texas holiday, gonna come back better, stronger, fiercer. 2020, 2019, Maximiliano, Beyond the Thunderdome. What else? Shout out all of our listeners. 3 episodes strong. Shout out our Patreons. Drinking Gourd Fellowship. We have a show at Ori in November. We're gonna do another podcast this month.
Yep.
Those are my parting words. Happy summer. September, get twisted.
All right. Max, you said it all. So I'm going to keep my parting words short and sweet. Dear listeners, take all the time you need. It is the most valuable thing you have at your disposal. Have a good night, y'all.
Good night.